grind will never change, even if they start to hate on my name. Stay true to yourself and never ride another wave. They say that I ain't been acting the same. I wasn't happy, won't go back again. Moving and shaking till they know the name. Can't handle the boy because they sound the same, yeah. I came to save you from all of the fakers. Wanna know about me, then call all of my haters. They'll tell you that the boy ain't really worth it. In the stew every week with the same purpose. The boy been hot in a lit furnace. I feel like I deserve this. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy.
Believe that can fly, that's Kelly. Grew up on West, ain't nothing you can tell me. Knew they would ride with me once they knew my M.O. Better hold on, whoa Nelly. I must say what I need to say, Mayor. Watch how I built it out, I'm the conveyor. At these shows and I rap and I know they gon' clap. Yeah, they put their hands together, no prayer. I ain't worried about you, I'm just worried about me. What I know is what I'll be. And y'all was heartless, got you out of my system to make good music. No ID. You will never bring me down, never break my stride. I'ma make it out by rapping how I feel inside, yeah.
We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. You know I always stand tall. They gon' wanna see me fall. Sounding crazy. We will never change, yeah. Always moving major. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy. Saying that I'm not the one, but you've been sounding crazy.
What's going on, MBL Network? We are live right now here on youtube.com/Madden Bomber League. You know the channel. I mean, you're already here. You know how it is. We got some great action for you. Let's dive right into it. Lip, what is going on? It is been a while since we've been on October 2nd. This is a bi-weekly podcast, so we come on every other week. We were last on October 2nd, so we got to catch up in some news. I'm joined alongside my co-host right now, Lip. Ripper, what's going on, Lip?
Oh boy, I'll tell you what, I'm excited for the show tonight. Last episode we got cut off a little bit early, but tonight we've got some things to talk about and it's going to get pretty interesting. So I'm ready to start the show.
All right, me too. I'm just messing with the music a little bit. Yeah, all right, so it's October 18th and we're ready to get it rocking and rolling. So let's get right into the news. We're going to start October 11th. So what we're going to do every episode, Commissioner Corner Podcast episode number 47, moving forward, what we're going to do is we're pretty much going to take information from, I want to do a week back, Lip. So we're going to start October 11th. And funny for that actual time frame, which is 7 days ago, it's a New Orleans Saints, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. Well, can you guys guess what topic that is on the screen? Lip, are you seeing the overlay right now?
I am. I'm not currently. I'm looking.
All right.
For
well, the overlay is here are the topics for tonight. We got 20 million overrated Tampa Bay and around the NBL. Can you guess which one's going to be a New Orleans Saints topic?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I don't want to ruin it.
Well, I wonder if the audience can guess it.
I don't. Well, I mean, I think they can because I think it was leaked. But you know.
All right, let's get it rocking and rolling. All right, Michael Thomas re-signed to a 4-year extension worth close to I think it's like 62.6 million to be exact. What people don't see is the work I've put in all these years. Today is the proof. Who dat? Saints extended the contract of Michael Thomas. Any issues with this contract, Lip? 4 years, 62 million.
No, absolutely not. And the thing was, people thought he was going to go to free agency, and he is not. He's locked down. He's a Saint for at least the next 4 seasons. That's a great signing for the Saints.
Pricey in the chat, what's going on? Yeah, I like the signing too. The only problem is this team spends a lot of money, and it seems like every time we look on Bleacher Report, the Saints are spending big-time money. It's got to run out sometime. It's not a bottomless pit here, right? I mean, at some point, right? They're going to run out.
I mean, they freed up some room, over the offseason, and they knew that this contract was coming up. They paid this man. You can't not pay him, so they paid him, and that's how it is now. There's other things that they've done that are head scratching, but Michael Thomas is certainly not one of them. For 4 years, $62 million is a good deal for such a great, dominant number 1 wide receiver.
All right, and October 12th, Josh Allen's actually going to be returning October 13th to the Detroit Lions. He played his second game today. Skip Bayless of the MBL said Josh Allen has now missed more games than snaps he's played for Detroit. We are going to look back at this trade in a few seasons and think, wow, Buffalo might have pulled off the greatest trade in NBL history. Thoughts on that, Lip? All those first-round picks for Josh Allen? That's pretty hot take there from Skip Bayless.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Lions team's in good shape right now. Josh Allen, we're just not sure. It's way too early, but I mean, unless Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl, it looks like the Bills really did pull off a great trade because they got a lot. They got quite a bit for Josh Allen, and they got a good tackle in that deal. A lot of first-round picks. A lot of stuff was given up for Josh Allen, so the Lions really have to make it work. The pressure is on to make that move work.
All right, we're cruising through Bleacher Report right here into the Around the NBL segment. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button here. We got some more information coming up. Tampa Bay Buccaneers overrated. We're talking 2 teams and the $20 million topic. We all know what that's going to be about. Bleacher Report, October 12th reported Will Fuller, Houston Texans, signs a 5-year, $45 million extension. Detroit's offensive guard, right guard, TJ Lang, suffered a fracture in his left foot versus the Giants, which will cause him to miss about 2 months. And Cincinnati returns to Andy Dalton in their starting lineup. What's going on with Cincinnati? That's just a little crazy of a topic, right? Andy Dalton in, he's out, he's in, he's out, and now he's back in there in Cincinnati. I understand the team's struggling, but man, it really is a wild ride. If you're a Bengals fan, right now you're sitting at 3-3. At this time, you were under 500. You bring back Andy Dalton, went away from the rookie, and here we are. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, they were in this position last year. They started out really bad. They ended up making a push. I think they were in the playoffs last year, that last wild card spot. They could do it again because if you look at their offensive and defensive stats, they're in the top 10 in generally every category. So it seems good. They're just losing a couple tough games here and there. I think if they pull it together a little bit, clean up a little bit of the mistakes, they're going to be in the playoffs again. And for those
wondering who Andy Dalton took over, it was Derek Flynn, second-round pick. I got him on the screen right there. 88 throw power, that's the issue. He was a late second-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals. He's not starting anymore. He has a 91.1 QBR, but the issues with him was holding on to the ball. He just kept fumbling every time he got sacked, and it's not like he was playing that poorly, 91.1 QBR, but on 12 sacks, he fumbled 3 times. They're going back with the old veteran, Andy Dalton. Moving on, Jadeveon Clowney extends his contract, 5 years, $69.8 million. I think we both can agree that that's a big-time thing. More on the Clowney deal. They followed up with this. I love what Bleacher Report is doing. October 12th, they reported the signing, and then they followed up with, this is a cause for celebration for the fans of Houston Texans and huge sigh of relief for the front office as they were unable to reach a deal in NBL Season 33. Clowney is currently playing under a franchise tag, and all of us were really looking at this Clowney situation as owners in the NBL going, okay, he's about to hit free agency, right? Doesn't happen. 5 years, $69.8 million earned. That an earned deal for Jadeveon Clowney? Fair deal?
Yeah, fair deal. And if you're the Texans, you're looking at Clowney, you're looking at Watt, you've got a lot of players on that defense that aren't big name players, but they all have a big role. That's a great defense. They have tremendous talent that you don't even know about. And to sign this guy paired up with J.J. Watt, like I said, that makes that defense pretty unbelievable. So, well-deserved for Clowney. And that defense is going to be one of the top ones as we move forward because of that man right there.
Let me know how it looks and sounds in the chat, guys. Let me know if the audio levels are good for you guys. You can hear everything. Got some music in the background as well. Investments in the trenches can take teams to the next level. Now, here's a kind of wavering player. Joey Bosa signs a 6-year deal valued at around $87 million, and he wrote to the NBL Bleacher Report. He stated, "I'm here in Los Angeles to stay. I want to help bring a title here, and today's one big start." I don't like the health of Joey Bosa, and to wrap up this much money in the defensive end position, in which I believe is one of the most expendable positions. I understand he's a pass rusher. I get that's a skill. But I feel like I can find players that can kind of do that. And I don't have to spend 6 year, $87 million on the guy that has injury issues. Lip, I'm kind of thumbs in the middle on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the defense right now, 17th in points. 23rd against the run. I mean, this defense doesn't seem like it's that. It doesn't stand out to me that big, and I'm not sure how much Bosa has missed this so far this season, but we all know he's missed a lot. A lot of time has been spent on the sidelines for this man. Now he's got paid. He's got to be able to play and produce because of this. I mean, you can't take that much money from a team and still sit on the sideline. He's got to figure out how to stay on the field because he's such a dominant player that he can wreck an entire game by himself. The Chargers have to have a way to keep him on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Redskins source tells Bleacher Report that rookie Russell Greer will remain the starter, making Alex Smith the backup. Say, who? Russell Greer? I know he had a good preseason, but it's actually paid some dividends for the Washington Redskins. As you see at the bottom right there on the screen, and I'll go ahead and mark it right there, Redskins just put up 52 points against the Minnesota Vikings. Are you surprised at this switch from Alex Smith? And more importantly, are you surprised they put 50 up on top?
I'm not, because that defense has always had good players and has always found a way to allow 40 points a game. That's just the norm for Todd's teams, and that's just where it's at. But more importantly, Redskins are in one heck of a division battle right now. You got the Giants, Cowboys, Eagles all above 500 around them. So Washington's got to make a move, and they've got to stick with it. Whatever they do has to work, because this is a very competitive division. We're going to get into that later on tonight. But whatever they do has to work. So whatever they're committing to, they've got to give it time and make sure that it works, because they don't have a lead. They don't have a soft division. Whatever they decide to go with has to work.
All right, let's talk October 12th. Still on October 12th. Bleacher Report doing a great job. Tennessee Titans have signed star safety Kevin Byard to a multi-year deal. The deal is worth approximately $52 million over the course of a 5-year period. The 26-year-old safety finished MBL season 33 with 35 tackles, 5 interceptions, but has yet to get going in the season. 5-year, $51.3 million for safety. Lip, you're anti-spend money on safeties. Is this the guy you'd spend money on at 26 years old?
Definitely not 5 years at 26 years old, and definitely not at safety. I think that safeties are becoming a little bit more important, but I also, at the same time, don't think it's any reason to panic that he hasn't gotten going yet this season, because when you have a good year and then you sign a big deal, sometimes people kind of recognize that and stay away from you a little bit. I've always seen a lot of safeties get big deals, have great seasons, and then the next year there's a big drop-off. And I think it's a little mixture of people just – it's hard to be a dominant safety every single year, and it's also, once you're recognized, people kind of know that you're there and try to find – yeah, exactly.
I find myself
and that
doing
might be the case here.
Every time I play Seattle, I find myself doing that with Earl Thomas. I'm like, you might make a lot of money. You might be one of the best safeties, but not against me. I'm going to avoid you at all costs. He still managed to get a strip fumble on me. He came down in the box and made a nice play on a little throw to the flat. So they find ways to get it done. But, yeah, I think you can avoid players like that. You just recognize them pre-snap. Byron Jones signs a 4-year, $26 million extension with the Dallas Cowboys. Team also began negotiations with Allen Hurns and quarterback Dak Prescott. Talks have already centered on guarantees for the two, as told by Bleacher Report lead insider Timbo. We're both optimistic deals can get done. So they signed Byron Jones, and they're in contracts with Allen Hurns and Dak Prescott trying to keep this team together. Wait, Lip, we'll hold off on that because we are going to be talking about the Dallas Cowboys in just a little bit. Injuries, Levante David out 5 weeks with dislocated knee. Halfback Derrick Henry, he's going to be out missing a month. You just played the Indianapolis Colts without Derrick Henry, their star halfback that they picked up this offseason. How good can this team be if they become fully healthy? I know Derrick Henry has always got something, but when he gets back full strength, you have to think this team's going to be they're going to be a handful to deal with, especially come playoff time.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year they were the biggest surprise in the league, and they're getting it done with Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton. The defense is playing a lot better than a lot of people expected, and I keep going back to this. The Colts were not a team that was supposed to make the playoffs, like, at all. Period. That was it. They were going to be a bottom team for a long time because it was going to take a lot to rebuild them. But Year one, right out the gate, they're here. They are for real. And I'll be honest, I don't think Derrick Henry brings a whole lot to them, and I don't think they're missing much with him out. So I'm not too worried about it. I think they're just fine without him. They're going to be good with him or without him. So it's just kind of like the name is something that people look at and they think something of, but I just don't think it's that much. But they're a great team with or without him.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. Jimmy Bunting in chat says, appreciate the welcome, fellas. Fired up to be part of the best league out there. Appreciate you guys you joining the MBL community. Good luck in the grid. I hope you you grind and work your way up. Jamie's in the chat. Kyle JY Movie Guy, N-Train, Tout, Double A, and the Hound Charlie's in the building. Also, another player signed, Amari Cooper, 4 years, $59 million. That's a pretty good deal, Lip. I'd give a good one. Strong safety, Carl Joseph. That's good. Also, sack leaders. The Minnesota pair of Daniel Hunter and Everson Griffin is unarguably, oh, they said unarguably, oh, okay, the best pass rush duo in the MBL. These two have accounted for 20 sacks through 5 games. All right, here's my issue with that. Ngakwe right there with 10 as well. Obviously, he's, that's old news, Lip. We're not impressed anymore. Unless he goes 50 sacks, I'm just not impressed. Also worth noting is Jaguars, Yannick Ngakwe, who also has 10 sacks through week 5, which he had over 30 last year. Hunter and Griffin 10 sacks apiece, but look at the bottom of the screen. They just gave up 50 points, and they gave up 500 and something yards passing, I believe, or something like that. It was something crazy. How good are they? I mean, stats is one thing, but I like to look at the end of the day, how many points are you giving up a game if you're the Minnesota Vikings? That's how good this defense is. You could blitz a lot, give up a lot of big plays, but in result, you're going to come away with a couple sacks. It's going to make you look like you have this inflated stat as if your defense is playing this great football. And I don't know if I see it here. This team is giving up 27 points per game, Lip. 27 points per game! 30th in the league! Of course they got the top 2 sack getters. They just give up a bunch of big plays because they're sitting in way too much heat. And they're paying for it. Thoughts? Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I don't get too hyped about teams who have a lot of sacks or even a lot of interceptions whenever they're allowing 27 points a game. That's not a great defense. They're terrible against the rush, so I don't see any value in it. It's just like you said, they're on defense a lot, so they're going to get a lot of sacks.
It's a moot stat at this point.
Yeah, it's just kind of like. Yeah, exactly like you said. You can be on the field. You can run the ball a lot on offense and have a great defense, but you can still be 2-6. You know what I mean? So it's not a stat that I look at and say, that's why this team is doing this or that. They're just there. That's just a product of that defense is on the field a lot.
All right, we tend to get a lot of focus on Tyreek Hill and the passing attack of the Kansas City Chiefs, but stats tell us that they can also dominate in the running game. Kareem Hunt leads the league in rushing and rushing touchdowns. Check out the list of the top 5 rushers, and right there on the screen you see it. Kareem Hunt, Cook, Saquon Barkley. Guys, and man, I'll tell you what, the Redskins have a nice halfback. I like this kid. I call him GU Ice. He's nice. And Melvin Gordon, 324 yards, 4 touchdowns. Now, nobody's surprised on that list. We can move on from that. Bleacher Report, Dallas actually re-signed Dak Prescott and Allen Hurns. Prescott went 4 years, $84 million. 20 a year for Dak. I don't know. All right, Allen Hurns, 4 years, $36 million. I feel like they could have got a little bit more of a team-friendly deal from Dak. I'd like to see 4 years, $65. I think they went about 20 over on that one. I don't know if I like it. Chiefs Kareem Hunt will miss a few weeks after that. So we're almost caught up. October 16th, TJ Green, 3 years, $13 million. Emmanuel Ogbah, he's been a beast for the Cleveland Browns, 3 years, $20 million. He currently leads the team in sacks at 7.5. That was as of October 16th.
See, that's always Ogbah's always the guy that like nobody pays a whole lot of attention to. I'm glad that they acknowledged his signing and that he leads the team in sacks. Because everybody looks at Garrett and is like, oh, he's a big pass rush. He's the dominant force. But I'm telling you, for a long time, Ogbah's been a very productive fella on that defensive side, and nobody talks about him a lot. Everybody gives the praise to Garrett, but Ogbah's a heck of a player, and it's nice to see that he got a deal and he's having a great season.
Now, they're talking about Dak Prescott being overrated in real life. I'm going to say this right now. On the season, Dak Prescott's 3rd in yards in the NBL. He's got 1,814 yards. He's 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I just don't like the 10 touchdowns. I think that's really low for a guy that's thrown the ball 163 times in the NBL. Relative speaking here. Only 7 interceptions. I like that. 106.8 QBR. But his lows are really low. And that's why I think 4 years, $65 million is probably where it was at. Oh, we also have a new account on Twitter, MBL Todd McShay. Make sure you follow him at MBL_McShay. Taquan Jasper, it was a surefire. Listen to this one. Listen to this one, Lip. Your ears perked on this one. You listening?
Oh yeah, I'm
okay,
all.
Okay.
It's
all right. I gotta make sure you listen. This is weird.
Draft time.
This is a weird story. Shout out to EA.
Always have an ear for the draft.
I think you might like this guy because we know you have a fascination with the NHL. You know the hockey. It's not even a real sport at this time. Taquan Jasper was a surefire NHL prospect.
Yeah,
baby. Get this. When he made the decision to play football at Oklahoma, why was he going to Oklahoma if he was an NHL prospect?
I don't know.
Just so happened the surefire NHL prospect goes to a football school. It's kind of weird.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about college hockey. I think I kind of want to say like the Big Ten is like
I don't know. I'm just
more the hockey.
Saying that just is too convenient.
I can't comment on it. I have no idea. But like college hockey is not even like where like amazing talent comes from. You know what I mean? Like it's not like football.
Okay,
it's totally different. So I don't know why you would go to Oklahoma.
God, it's boring me just hearing you say that.
Oh, get out of here.
The young running back exploded against UCLA last weekend and has 847 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns in only 6 games. Look for this kid to be playing on Sundays next season, MBL season 35. Taquan Jasper. I mean, I know you like the NHL story. Great graphic there by
I do love the story.
You see it on the screen. There's a graphic. Great job there by Jamie. Also, another draft prospect here. All eyes were on big Wisconsin and Michigan matchup last weekend. On the big Wisconsin and Michigan matchup, I had my eye on Wisconsin's Lindsey Garner. He made plays all night in both the run and pass game. Future star. Look for him to be one of the first cornerbacks off the board come draft day. Keep an eye on him, guys. Cornerback Lindsey Garner. We're almost caught up on Bleacher Report. We're going to talk Tampa in just a little bit. Ravens and Raiders are tied for the most penalties. We saw that a couple days ago. Developing story, Chargers front office and Melvin Gordon have ended contract negotiations. As we pointed out earlier, he was 5th in the league in rushing. I'm not sure where he's at right now. I'll check before we move forward. Let's see. Melvin Gordon is now 3rd in the league at 415 rushing yards. No word as if they will use the franchise tag on the 26-year-old halfback Melvin Gordon. You think they're going to use a tag on him? They're going to use a tag on him.
They're absolutely going to use a tag on it. What I'm interested to see is we got to keep an eye on this because next year, I mean, as time goes on, it's kind of like Le'Veon Bell in real life. Like as time goes on, when this guy gets a little older, use a tag on him. The time for him to get a long-term deal it's in a weird spot. If you give it to him now, like at the end of the season or next season, he's in a weird spot age-wise. So I'm really interested to see if they use the tag on him this year and next year and see how that plays out.
All right, some injury updates, and this is as of today. We're already caught up, man. Bleacher Report doing a great job out there. Shout out to Timbo, earning himself a spot. Team selection is going to be really friendly for him next year. Injury update. Vikings wide receiver Adam Thielen is out 3 weeks, and rookie quarterback Joe Kesey is out 4 weeks, both with broken ribs. Also, another big-time quarterback injury. I circled it on the screen. Carson Wentz going to be out 4 weeks with an abdominal injury. Tight end Will Tye, who the Dallas Cowboys traded a 3rd-round pick to New England for, is out 4 weeks with a damaged ligament in his shoulder. Biggest injury out of what I just mentioned, obviously, Carson Wentz. Eagles now 4-3. No Carson Wentz. This is going to be a long, long haul for the Philadelphia Eagles without Carson Wentz because you have to be able to make the throws in the NBL. And right now, they don't have Nick Foles as he went over and got the starting job for the Buffalo Bills. Not doing very good over there either. But with all that being said, what do you think? Carson Wentz out 4 weeks. How much is it going to affect the Eagles' playoff push? Because right now they're starting Trevor Siemian, if you're wanting. Shout out to Surf out there. Surf was a big-time Siemian fan at one point.
Yeah, Surf. Siemian, very underrated, really good quarterback. I think even Draco knows about Siemian. I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. But this is huge. I'm really worried about the Eagles because they're actually having a really great start to the season. They lose their quarterback 3 or 4 games without him, man. That's going to be tough. Like I said earlier, they play in a very tough division. So losing the man, the general, the quarterback, Carson Wentz, that's going to be a huge loss. And that might be enough. 2, 3, 4 games, that might be enough to knock them out of the division race in such a tough division.
Yeah, absolutely. Chicago Bears have signed outside linebacker Leonard Floyd to a 5-year extension worth almost $50 million. I think it's like 49.2. The pass rusher is having a pretty decent season, recording 11 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 forced fumble through week 7. What do you think about this signing? I think it's absolutely horrible. It is 49.4 exactly. You look at this team and you think, man, they have such a great defense. Now they're going to be keeping it together. I like the signing of Leonard Floyd here. I think he's a great outside linebacker. $10 million a year. Yeah, I think he can earn that. I think he's kind of having a down season right now. Expected to pick up during the second half of MBL season 34.
Yeah, I mean, in that defense, in that team, that's a great signing. Elsewhere, you might question a little bit more, but with the Bears, he's exactly where he needs to be. It's the best place for him. It's the best place for a lot of defenders. So I would say that's a good signing, because if anybody knows how to use linebackers, it's going to be the Chicago Bears. So I would definitely say that's a good signing.
All right, let's move on. It's time to move on to the topics of the show. We got rid of everything on Bleacher Report, and that took quite a while. We went back 7 days. Great job by Bleacher Report. That was some great, interesting stuff to kind of touch on the league, but we got to move on. It's time to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yes, this team is 6-1 right now. King of the South. The NFC South king right now, I'm calling it, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This team is just looking phenomenal. I mean, just different kind of level. What do you think about Tampa so far? Is this the real deal kind of squad? I think they're going to win the division. We'll look at their schedule in just a little bit. In just a second, I'll pull it up right after this. Right after we run this videos, and we also got a magazine that came up. Just a lot of positive things going on in Tampa right now. You believe in this? Is this contender, pretender? Where you at?
I absolutely believe in this team to win the division. There's no doubt about that. The Falcons have disappeared. The Saints are having a struggling season, and Porter's Panthers, I don't know. I don't know where they're at. Porter, let me know where you're at. Let me know where those Panthers are at.
It's Carolina Panthers.
But yeah, absolutely with the Bucs, I believe in this team. Their offense isn't the offense that you're afraid of, but they can slowly kill you. And then the defense is holding teams to under 17 points with 16 points. 9th in the MBL. Their rush defense is good. Their pass defense is good. There's nothing that stands out and says, the problem is with them, there's nothing that stands out and says, okay, this is how we have to attack them, because everything, it's so straight line across the board that they do everything well. Not something great, not something spectacular. They do everything well that it's very hard to attack them in one specific area, and that's helped them to a 6-1 record. So I definitely believe.
So you're saying they do everything well? Let me read it off. They're 13th in points, 14th in yards, 17th in passing, 6th in rushing. That doesn't read 6-1 to me. Defensively, 9th in points allowed at 16, 14th in yards, 24th in passing, 11th in rushing. They are really just squeezing by wins, and I think they will win the division. They are 6-1. They've had a lot of close games. I mean, we're going to look at their remaining schedule in just a second. I know it popped on the screen already. But look at their last couple games. Their average margin of victory is 4 points, Lip. 4 points for a 6-1 team. Okay, I got issues with that. You know, I'm thinking, okay, that just doesn't seem too good. They beat the Saints 20-19 in the comeback. The Seahawks, they beat them 17-10. They lost 17-12. They lost to the Colts in a blowout fashion, 32-10. They barely beat the Falcons 30-27. They beat the Panthers 23-13, which is a convincing win for them. They did the same thing versus the Eagles 23-13, and they dominated the Titans. So they've dominated kind of these bottom teams, but anytime they play a team that has some kind of pulse, it's really coming down to the end of the game, and I don't like that. But they were featured on the MBL magazine, number 221. We also talked Cleveland Browns in that, but Tampa Bay plundering the NFC. Great vocabulary there for JY. But yeah, that's the new magazine. You see the new magazine cover with Mike Evans on it?
Oh yeah, that nice red stands out on the white background. That sounds like really simple, but it's that simplicity that makes it amazing. It's just that little bit of color difference that it makes them stand out. Oh man, yeah. And a second thing I want to pull out. Purple people eaters. That is something that I have not heard since I was a kid.
Wow.
Was very, very, very pleased to hear that.
Old, man. I heard that I think I heard that like 6 years ago, like for a lot. There was this chick that used to always say that. Mike Evans on the season, 22 receptions, 381 yards, 3 touchdowns. OJ Howard, I showed him. He's on the overlay now because he's actually playing very well. 20 catches, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'd say he's kind of playing like in that top 5 tight end range right now. He's definitely putting up some consistent yards. He had a down game kind of against New Orleans, in Tampa Bay, week 7. But he had a great game against Seattle. We're talking he's 4 catches, 5 catches a game, 50-plus yards. And if he can get you a touchdown, he's a pretty good fantasy play at tight end. I like what O.J. Howard has been able to do this year, kind of revitalizing his career. I mean, he had a good year last year, 52 catches, 970 yards, 4 touchdowns. But this year, it seems like they're actually winning games. He's coming away with those catches, big-time clutch moments. And they're doing this all without Ronald Jones II. I mean, they haven't had Ronald Jones play, much. He's been injured. He played week 1 and week 2. He missed a bunch of weeks. He came back the last 2 weeks. But they've been rolling a lot with Jeremy Hill, a guy nobody wanted in free agency. So down the stretch, let's get it rocking and rolling. Down the stretch, they got Texans, Niners, Cardinals, Panthers, Jaguars. You got the stream pulled up, Lip. I want you to give me a prediction of where you see this 6-1 team is gonna go. They're 6-1. Here's their remaining schedule on the board. I'm actually going to use the whiteboard and do this. Against Texans, I'm going to check mark a W and X out an L. Against the Texans, I got a check mark. I say they win. They're 7-1. They're going to beat the Niners. Yes, that's 8-1. They're going to beat the Cardinals. Yes, that's 9-1. They're going to beat the Panthers again. That's 10-1. They're going to lose to the Jaguars. That's 10-2. They're going to beat the Green Bay Packers. That's 11-2. They're going to beat the Rams. That's 12-2. And they're going to lose to the Saints, and I think they lose to the Falcons. Let's just say. This puts them at 12-4 still. Even if they fall to the division the rest of the time here, outside of the Panthers, which I think they beat the Panthers. 12-4, what do you say about that? Is that potentially where you might have them with that remaining schedule on the board?
I like everything, except I don't think that they're going to be able to beat the Texans. The Texans defense is really good. And if you don't have somebody that stands out, and if you don't have like a real identity, that Texans team can frustrate you, throw you off your game, and give you a tough time. I like everything else that you said, but I think that Texans game is going to be very tricky for the Buccaneers. So, what'd you say, 12-4? I would go 11-5, but that's enough to win the division, and all you gotta do be in the playoffs.
All right, let's move on. Good. Let's move on. We're done with the Bucs. It's time to move on to the next thing. It's overrated segment here on the Commissioner Corner podcast. And yeah, sadly, we got the BTF Dallas Cowboys from the MBL season 33 on here. We're also going to talk Kansas City Chiefs. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys sitting at 4-2-1, obviously improving every week right now. But how do you feel about this team going down the stretch? Is this an issue? You think this team is going to be able to overcome these New York Giants, who they recently I think they recently just beat them. Let's see on the screen. Week 2 they lost, but they recently just beat them in the most recent game that they played, I believe. I'm going to pull that up right now. But how alarming is the Dallas Cowboys play early in the year? It seems like they always just kind of find a spot in the season in which they kind of fall apart, but they always regather themselves heading into the playoffs.
This is a team that I think should be back in the NFC Championship and very, very likely should be back in the Super Bowl. But my issue is that I am not positive that they can consistently beat the Giants. I know that they beat them.
Yeah, it was week 6. They just beat them week 6, 27-12. Yeah,
27-12. But I don't know what it is. I just believe in these Giants, and I look at that first game where it was 20-6. Luletta from the Giants was 11 for 14, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And it's just confusing to me that this defense has some good players, and they've got great stats. You look at this team and the Cowboys, and you see these numbers, and that looks like a great team. But something in me just says that these Giants are going to continue to frustrate the Cowboys into a point where I think that both of them can make the playoffs, and whenever you play 3 times a season, it's incredibly challenging to consistently beat another team.
What do you mean 3 times a year? You're saying this team's going to play each other in the playoffs?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that this would if both of these teams made the playoffs, my top 3 teams in the NFC would be the Lions, the Cowboys, and the Giants. And the Lions and Cowboys have always had a great playoff rivalry, but I think that it's going to go it's going to be even better with the Giants thrown in here, because I think that the Giants can be a really good team. Now, this division's very tough. The Redskins and the Eagles are both over 500 right now. We know Carson Wentz is out. The Eagles are probably going to drop off a little bit. There's a little bit of youth being developed with the Redskins. So right now, it's basically the Cowboys and the Giants, if we're just being honest. But the Giants are 5-2. They've got a game ahead on the Cowboys, and I just think that this is a little bit of a wake-up call for the Cowboys, that it's not going to be like last season where they walked away with their division no problem and then kind of walked to the NFC Championship game, where they are going to have to play solid ball. And they did that. Don't get me wrong. Week 6, they had that great win against the Giants, but it ain't over. It is absolutely not over, in my opinion.
I think this team just clutches up. I just think they have the clutch factor. I think they're playing down. I think they get bored throughout the season. I think they're a playoff team. I have no issue with Dallas. Now, on the other hand, with Kansas City, we look at this Kansas City Chiefs defense. They're 19th in points allowed, 2nd in total yards, 22nd in passing, 26th in rushing. That's no bueno for me. I don't like it. I'm concerned about the Kansas City Chiefs right now. What are your thoughts on Kansas City, another team that we said? But first of all, is the Dallas Cowboys overrated right now? Are they still a contender? You still think they're a contender, though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely contender, for sure. But it's just not, like you said, they kind of get bored. And I don't like that because when you get bored, you kind of get caught off guard. And that's where losses come whenever they shouldn't. And at some point, they've got to turn it on because I mean, I'm not calling them a bad team. They're a good team, and they need to play better than they currently are. Now, the Chiefs, on the other hand, this Chiefs team is really playing completely terrible in regards to how much firepower they have on offense. Now, Patrick Mahomes is playing really, really good. 75 completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and a QBR of 136. Kareem Hunt's having a great season. We saw that on Bleacher Report. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. Tyreek Hill having a monstrous season already. But where is the problem here? It's on the defensive side of the ball. Bomber, they are 4-3. This is a team that should definitely be 6, maybe even 7 wins right now because I think their offense is that good.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. We're talking fast. They just brought in a wide receiver. He's speedy. Tyreek Hill. This team is just loaded. Chris Conley, Sammy Watkins. The plethora of weapons with a strong-arm quarterback. It just seems like they should be putting up more points offensively. And it just seems like that should allow the defense to kind of play one-dimensional, to say, hey, you're chasing points now. I can use that to my advantage, right? I can start playing pass coverage defensively. Just not seeing it right now from the Kansas City Chiefs. And honestly, it's been disappointing. This is a team that I think is actually a pretender right now. I don't think this team goes far at all. I think they actually go one and done when they get into the playoffs. Too hard of a take on them?
No, I mean, that's the position that they're in because, like you said, they have 4 legitimate, like, top receiving players. Like, you got Hill, Holland, and Watkins that you could put them anywhere else and they could be number 1 wide receivers. And then you've got Kelsey. I mean, he's got that ability to be the number 1 receiver as the tight end. He's that good. And, I mean, sitting at 4-3, your offense is putting up good numbers. The defense is just, it seems like you said, you need to play that a lot better in terms of, we're going to go out, we're going to put up 45. You have to do the same thing to be able to beat us. And it's just kind of not working out like that. And this is the thing where I think if the Chiefs got their act together, they could be the best team in the AFC. But it just has not. They just haven't put it all together to this point, and it kind of worries me because that offense has so much talent. I want it to be extremely successful, and I want the Chiefs to be extremely successful off of that offense.
Yeah, they got a really stud wide receiver. I'm going to put him on the screen here in just a second. Let's see if I can get him on there. Is Julius Holland right here. You see him on the screen right there. He's 75 overall. They wasted a 2nd-round pick on him, and I don't think they needed a wide receiver. Chris Conley, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. Why are you drafting another wide receiver? You even have a tight end with Travis Kelce, as you stated. He's pretty much a wide receiver. I understand this kid's got a lot of potential. He's 22 years old, but you didn't need him. You needed a defensive player. Instead, you decided to go, offense. And to me, that just shows an unwillingness to kind of have to recognize what's going on. Your defense is pathetic. It was not that good last year. It gave up a lot of points. Should have went on the defensive side of the ball, but instead they went on the offensive side of the ball, and that's the issue. That's why I think they're going to be one and done this year. I think they do win the division as well, though, but I think they'll be one and done once they get into the playoffs. All right, time to move on to the next topic on the screen. It's time to talk a little bit of the $20 million man. And you're probably wondering, who is this?
This is the 2nd time we've had one of these.
Yeah. Originally, it was Drew Brees. Oh, wait. No. It was the second one from the Saints. Yeah. All right, we're going to touch on it real quick. Tyrod Taylor on the season, 58% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, $22 million cap penalty, been sacked 24 times. I mean, there's nothing positive I can honestly say about this guy. Governor said he was listening to the show while he was washing dishes. You might want to turn it off now. This was arguably the worst signing I've ever seen in MBL history. You're talking about an 82 overall quarterback who's done absolutely zero in the MBL ever. He got paid like Dak Prescott just got paid. He's probably the reason Dak Prescott said, wait a second. I would have took 4 years 65, but I'm going to need 4 years 85 because you're going to tell me this guy's going to make $20 million a year? And he's putting up a QBR that's lower than the age of Deca? Are you kidding me? This team is just a horrible. This team is sitting at 2-4, and they were the most active team in the offseason. They had to have everybody. Calling Anthony Barr, calling Tyrod Taylor. We got to have getting into bidding wars, attempting to trade anything and everything. Always. Their offensive scheme, listen to this, is run and shoot. Their 17th best offensive team, 23rd passing, 19th rushing. Their offensive scheme, I'll repeat again, is run and shoot. I think it should be run and punt. That's what it feels more like offensively for these New Orleans Saints, Lip. This does not seem like a run and shoot. It seems like a run and punt team. And their defense is Tampa 2, but it really should be Tampa 7. They're giving up 23 points per game. Every time you touch the ball, you're probably scoring on this team.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think that we need to have a little bit of like a seminar, a little bit of education right before free agency to let people know the tools that they have, because I think somebody went out and saw that Tyrod Taylor completed 100% of his passes last year and had a QBR of 147, thought he was extremely good. Forgot to see that he only attempted one pass. He completed it, though, last year for the Browns, but I just do not see where this man is worth over $20 million. This is a ridiculous
30-year-old, 82 overall
Absolutely.
quarterback.
I mean,
30-year-old with the 82 overall. Help me here, Lip. Help me understand this. I got to put him on the screen. He's 30. He's not. Maybe if he was young, if he was like 23 years old, I might understand. But still, he'd be unproven. He's as unproven as he was at 23 years old, 24 years old, as he is now in the MBL at 30. Somebody help me understand what's going on. I'm going to put Tyrod Taylor's stats on the screen.
So I think I've cracked the code.
Yeah.
You've got you have Landry Jones at 30 years old. You trade for Ryan Tannehill, who's 31 years old. He was 30 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And then you bring in Tyrod Taylor at 30. They have bought into believing that you can't play quarterback in NBL unless you have experience. And these were the most experienced guys that they could get into the room together to come up with the best ideas to put up punts. And this is just kind of how it is. And I don't like it. And that's why it's going to be so much easier for the Buccaneers to win this division, because they're giving out money like this to Tyrod Taylor.
I'm at a loss for words. I still don't get it. I'm looking at his stats, and I'm just thinking to myself, experience without proven ability to actually perform. Experience without performance is what we just saw them sign right now. I'm confused. I'm just confused altogether. All right, time to move on to the final topic of the day. And that's going to be Crossfire. Appreciate you guys. You can call in right now to be on the screen. I'll put the number up there. If you got questions, call into the show, 330-408-5253. Also, don't forget, the MBL Twitch. There it is on the screen right there. Bonus coverage. Oh, it's a little bit louder. All right, there it is. Don't miss any of the action. Twitch.tv/MBL Network. If you're looking for live stream games here on the MBL Network, that's where you want to go. Appreciate everybody stopping by right now. So we're at the Crossfire segment. It's time to get some live calls. You want to call into the show. You got any questions? You want to defend yourself, Tyrod Taylor, $20 million man? Go ahead and call in. Let's talk about it. And while we're waiting, we'll talk about what topic we said we were going to discuss, most competitive divisions. People saying that the NFC East might be the best division, top to bottom. What do you think?
Oh, easy. That's such a good division. Like I said, I mean, I've talked about the Giants enough. The Cowboys, I don't want to sound like I'm disrespecting them, because I'm not. They're a good team. This is more of like a, hey, y'all need to wake the heck up, rather than saying they're not a good team. And the Redskins and the Eagles are.
You say hell on here. Why don't you try it again?
I don't want to go full SERP.
Well, I mean, before we went live, you were willing to go full-fledged, the things you wanted me to say at that point were okay. But now that we're live, you won't even say that. Okay, AT double hockey sticks. All right.
Yeah.
Call into the show right now. This is a Crossfire segment, guys. If you want to see anything on the screen, you want to talk about anything, we can talk about it now. Now's the time. Crossfire segment. Most competitive divisions, but go ahead, Lip.
Most competitive division, I mean, that's the NFC East. We talked about enough. And there's a couple divisions that are competitive in almost a not a lot of wins is what I'll say. Like, so the Rams, the Seahawks, they've both got 3 wins right now. They're right around 500. The Broncos, the Chiefs,
yeah, that's
the Chargers.
what I think. I think it's most competitive within the division, not most competitive for the rest of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. See, like the NFC East is the most competitive in terms of like they're all competitive with each other on a high level and come playoff time. But then there's also these divisions that are competitive against each other. I mean, the Bucs have a big lead, but that's still the most. I mean, probably the most competitive division when it comes to players playing each other. There's not one team in there that's going to win like 25 of 30 division games. So like the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, they're all 3 or 4 wins. That's a very tight division with the Chiefs playing a little cruddy like we talked about. That somebody could come out of that you don't really expect. And that's kind of where I'm at with that because some of the other divisions have a team that's standing above the crowd a little bit. But there's a lot of teams that are playing pretty close to each other in contention that makes it a competitive division.
What do you think about the AFC East within itself? Competitive, not competitive?
I'm very interested in the Bills. We know that they've made some trades. They shipped out a lot of things. They brought in a lot of draft picks to try to build a team that they want. They're currently 1-6. They're set up for another good draft. The Patriots, 1-5. I mean, we gave them enough crap last week that I think that caused the showdown. Was that week? I think it was.
Well, who were we talking about? The Patriots? Oh,
the Patriots.
We didn't even get into the Patriots today.
Not today, but we got into it last week to the point where it hit the fan with old.
The New England Patriots are just a lost franchise. We called this before it even started, didn't we? Say.
They let too many people go. Too many.
Yeah.
Now he's got a good point. Okay. I don't want to say he's got a good point. His point was that Brady's throwing a lot of interceptions in Tennessee. Gronk's hurt in Baltimore, but you would think that it might be a lot different if they were all still together on the same team. There's definitely that possibility, but that defense is last in yards. They're just letting everybody walk through.
What's the New England Patriots record right now?
1-5.
So they brought it. That's kind of like they brought in one guy this offseason and they lost about 5.
They beat the Bills, who are basically going for a high draft pick. Like, this team's
they put themselves at the same rebuild as the Buffalo Bills.
Exactly.
Within 1 year, just by cutting those players that made no sense to get rid of. They also traded away viable players like Will Tye for a 3rd-round pick. They shipped off everything that they had. Every asset they had, they just liquidated it during the offseason and said, you know what? We don't want to win this year. We don't want to compete. And they're in one of the divisions that we felt they were in, that the Patriots were at such a high level at the start of the Madden 19 cycle that there's no way they shouldn't run away with 2 to 3 division banners just on talent alone. And now we're looking up. They're 1-5. The Jets are 4-3. And the Dolphins are 3-4. Oh, my gosh. I don't know what Homer's doing over there. He was Mr. Opportunistic at team selection time, but he ruined that by putting his hands on it. Oh, man.
Yeah, and not you mentioned about shipping off all the good players. Like, they even tried to ship Joe Thuney, who is a very good guard for them. So they were really close to shipping him out. There was something that came up at the end that made him have to stay in New England, but they were that close to being down one more lineman. And it's just like they just tried to ship so many people out real quick, and it like you said, it went from a team where just on talent alone, you could cruise to a couple titles in the division to 1-5. You're competing with the Bills for the #1 overall pick.
Yeah, if the Patriots come back and win that division, I will buy everybody that watches the next Commissioner Corner podcast an MBL T-shirt. If the Patriots win that division, that they should win, that they easily won last year, But that's going to do it for the show. That's all we got. I'm going to leave it at that. And I might be lying about the shirts. All right, Lip, any final words here? This was Commissioner Corner Podcast, episode number 47. We do have MBL Live Super Show Saturday night. Make sure you check that out. Also, Sunday night, we got a little bit of, let's see if I can put that on the screen. Building the Franchise, Indianapolis Colts. That's right, here on youtube.com/Madden Bomber League. Make sure you check it out. That's turning into quite a nice show. I'm getting some beast owners on there. I mean, the Cowboys were red hot. The Colts are red hot. Who am I taking next year? I feel like I'm just jumping on the bandwagon early. But Building the Franchise, Indianapolis Colts, make sure you check it out.
I've been a Colts fan for a very long time, so don't talk about jumping on the bandwagon early.
Well, absolutely.
Been a Colts fan forever.
And Pricey's been a Colts fan too. Shout out to him. Appreciate everybody coming by, checking out the Commissioner Corner Podcast. We'll see you next time here on the MBL Network. And just like that, we're out.
But look like friends on the surfaces, disguising with their purposes. This perp I sip, this smoke I blow, these booze I drink, these shrooms I eat, these pills I pop. When I find what I'm searching for, I truly wonder if I will stop. Think I might, probably not. Smile bright as my body rots, with fuzzy vision and spotty thoughts. I'd wear no body